Hello and welcome to Yoga Basics. I'm Patty, I'll be your instructor. Let's go ahead and start in a comfortable seated posture. You're welcome to sit on a chair or you can sit on the floor. I don't sit straight to the floor. Usually I try to sit on something, so blankets or even a yoga block if you've got it, or you could take the cushions off my mother's couch. They're very stiff. You want to make sure that whatever you are sitting on, if you choose to sit on something, doesn't squish underneath you. Once you've found your comfortable seated posture, find your breath. You'll find it first outside of your nose, then you'll feel it in your throat, and just follow the natural rhythm and flow of your breath for a moment. Now today, we're going to look at the difference between diaphragmatic breathing and the structural breath. So diaphragmatic breathing is belly breathing. Now you don't really breathe with your belly, but your rib cage, imagine that it's like a bird cage. It's to expand and to contract. But the bottom of your rib cage, the bottom of your internal bird cage, is soft. That's your diaphragm. It attaches in the back, it comes through the body and attaches in the front, kind of at an angle. So what we call belly breathing is really just the dropping and opening of that diaphragm, making room for space to happen in your lungs, especially the lower lobes of your lungs, and air to come from outside the body to inside the body to equalize that space. Then we pull the belly in and up, drawing the diaphragm, the floor of that internal bird cage up to press the air back out. On another session, we'll talk about the gaseous exchange that happens in the lungs during the respiration process. But for now, let's talk about the diaphragm. So place your hands on your low belly and allow your low belly to fill your hands as you inhale. And then pull your low belly in and back and kind of up as you exhale. Again, fill the palms of your hands as you inhale, and then as you exhale, pull the belly in, back, and up. Once more, inhale, low belly. Exhale, pulling the low belly back to your spine. So that's diaphragmatic breathing. We're going to move into the structural breath, but first let's set an intention. So I'll invite you to bring your hands to your heart in the Anjali Mudra, the mudra for overcoming obstacles. We call it the prayer mudra here. As you bring your hands up, you want your thumbs to line up right along your sternum, the bony chest protection up here at the top of your body. And then you want your palms, thumbs, and fingers to gently press together as your shoulders gently pull apart. This is happening at the same time, so you should feel the chest lift and open. And as you feel this lifting and opening, especially around your heart, take a moment and set an intention for yourself. Claim for yourself what it is that you want. Physically, such as radiant good health. Mentally, maybe you could ask for wisdom or humor. Emotionally, such as joy or contentment. And spiritually, guidance or connection. Now take just another moment with this intention, setting it silently to yourself. And so it is. Let's go ahead and take a big inhale here. And then sigh the exhale out. Bringing your hands down, blink your eyes open if they've closed, and I'll introduce Mebby. She's going to help us with the structural breath today. So you've got diaphragmatic breathing. That's where the belly seemingly fills on the inhale and draws back literally to the spine on the exhale. But this type of breath is not good for movement. The type of breath, the belly breath, is good for seated meditation or seated postures when you really want to take a full breath. But once we start moving the body, that belly breathing can destabilize at the low back. So we have to create another breath for movement of the body, and we call it the structural breath. So for the practice and the learning of the structural breath, we're going to start on the back. So if you'll come to your back with your knees bent, and once on your back with your knees bent, just take a moment and let the floor accept your body. And then you want to draw your attention to your low back and to your shoulders. So with a belly breath, the back kind of arches just a little bit as the belly fills. And this is fine when we're seated, but as we start to move, this could, as I said, destabilize the low back. So for the structural breath, press your low back into the mat and press your shoulders into the mat at the same time. So you're going to keep this engagement. Now the inhales and the exhales, there's going to be kind of a dance between these muscles. The muscles of the front of the body rising for the inhale while the back of the body continues to press into the mat. Then the front of the body is going to draw back for the exhale, and you're going to push the low back and shoulders even more firmly into the mat. So let's begin by low back and shoulders pressing into the mat, and begin the inhale at the low belly, the mid and side chest, bringing the inhale all the way up to your collarbones, and then exhale, drawing the low belly in and back and up, firmly pressing into the mat. Keep the pressure as you inhale again. You're going to notice a play of muscles as well. So while Mebby does a few deep breaths, structural breaths, I'm going to tell you about it. So as you're inhaling, the tummy is going to make different positions, and you're going to feel how the movement of the diaphragm is not really filling the belly, but is a rippling muscle effect. So when you get the belly starts to fill, and when you get this inhale going, you want to try to feel your side ribs expand, and you want to try to feel the collarbones expand, and you want to feel the back of your body pressing into the mat. The inhale, back of the body presses, front of the body rises. The exhale, the front of the body pulls back and the back of the body presses even more firmly into the mat. So this is the action of the structural breath. It keeps the low belly engaged, which keeps protection and stabilization for the low back. Now we're going to start to move this posture so that you can feel the engagement of the low belly even if you're not pressing into the floor. So we're going to start with the hips. As you inhale, you're going to, using the structural breath, allow your hips to lift, making the same fluttering pattern through the belly, bringing the breath all the way up. Then as you exhale, you'll pull your belly to your spine, and you'll lower your spine back down to the mat. So pause just a moment. So remember, the low belly will stay engaged throughout the whole process of breathing. The inhale is going to fill side ribs, it's going to fill collarbones. Then the exhale is going to have you lower back down and press yourself even more firmly into the mat. So begin, low back is against the mat, shoulders against the mat. Begin to inhale, allow the inhale to rise the hips up, allow the inhale to rise up all the way to the collarbones. Then exhale, pulling the belly in, up and back as you draw the belly back down to the mat. And again, inhale, allowing the inhale to rise up the hips, rise up the chest, rise up to the collarbones, and then exhale, lowering the back down to the mat. So pause for just a moment. If this was uncomfortable in your low back, if you've got any kind of sciatica going on or any scoliosis going on, instead of rolling down on the exhale, I'm going to have you lower down in one piece. So you're familiar with what I'm talking about? Go ahead and inhale, lift the hips, allow the chest to expand. Now on the exhale, go straight down. And this might be a little more comfortable for those of us that have got kind of wonky backs. Again, inhale, lift, bringing the breath all the way up, and then exhale and lower your whole back down at one time. Great. We're going to add some more movement to this breath. We're going to add the arms. So your hips will still lift on the inhale, but now your arms are going to come up over your head on the inhale. Your arms are going to have to move quite a bit farther than your hips move, so your arms will move faster. When you get to the top of the inhale, we'll have a moment to adjust, and then you'll bring yourself down to the exhale. So the exhale will have your low back and your palms pressing into the mat, and then the inhale will lift the hips, lift the arms, reaching the fingers all the way back from the heels, top of the inhale. Then the exhale, the arms come down, the hips come down, and at the bottom of the exhale, you press down into the mat. Again, the inhale lifts the arms, lifts the hips. Try to finish the top of the inhale all at the same rate of speed, and then the exhale begins. The arms lower, the hips lower, and the hips are moving slower than the arms, remember. Again, inhale, lift, rise the breath up, really trying to get the breath all the way up into the collarbones, and then exhale, drawing the low belly back down to the mat. Pause for a moment and feel. Now, one of my teachers likes to talk about the exhale as if we had a little jacket on and you were zipping up the little jacket. So the inhale has you fill the rib cage, your internal bird cage, as much as you possibly can, and then the exhale zips that low belly up, bringing the breath up and out. So you could think about that too while you're doing this. So let's do this 3 more times. Inhale, lift the arms, lift the hips, bringing the top of the inhale to a nice big stretch. Then the exhale lowers the arms, lowers the hips, and presses into the mat. That's 1. Inhale, lift arms and hips. Get as high up as you can. Take a good stretch. Exhale, lower the arms, lower the hips. Press that exhale all the way out. That's 2. 1 more. Inhale, lift. Reach, reach, reach. And then exhale, lower. That's 3. Those of you that want to stay with this particular pattern of movement, you may. Those of you that would like to try something a little bit more challenging, bring your knees into your belly and bring your legs straight up. Now this, reaching the heels away from your body to stretch the back of the legs, is going to be your exhale position. The inhale is going to have the arms move up just like we did last time, and the legs are going to go down, so the top of the inhale looks like that, and then the exhale closes it back up. Hands press all the way to the floor. Inhale, lift the arms, lower the legs, keep inhaling, reach heels away from fingers, and then the exhale has the arms going all the way to the floor as the legs come up. Remember, the arms have 180 degrees to go, the legs have less than 90, so the legs will move slower. Inhale, reach the fingers away from the heels, press the low back and shoulders into the mat at the same time, and then exhale, really pressing the low back and the shoulders. Let's do 1 more. Inhale, reach. Take that long stretch, top of the inhale, low back presses, and then exhale and close back up. Fantastic. And we've come bringing your feet to the mat. Relax and feel. And we've come to the upside down portion of today's session. So we're going to use blankets. Now I'm going to keep Mebi's head on the mat, but she's going to make a firm commitment with herself to not turn her head. Neck muscles are kind of creepy. They're beautiful, they're wonderful, they give such a range of motion, but some of the smallest muscles, the little scalenes, are right next to one of the strongest, if not the strongest muscle in the body, this cleomastoid. So necks can be a little strange and you want to treat them very nicely. So Mebi is only going to look up, she's not going to turn her head at all. We're going to use the blankets to lift the hips to come into an inversion. So she has me as her assistant. I will slide the blankets underneath her hips, right to about her waistline. Then she's going to bring her knees into her belly. If your low back is comfortable at this position, let your legs go straight up into the air. If your low back isn't comfortable, you can shift forward or shift back until you feel right. This actually should feel very nice on the low back. So we've got the hips lifted above the heart. We've changed the aspect of gravity on the inside of the body. We've got miles of tubings down here in the digestive tract, and so when we've turned ourselves into an inversion, we've released some compression and some tension, allowing for a free flow of fluid and energy through the low belly. We've also turned the body gently upside down so that we've allowed the venous blood coming back to the heart a trip with gravity instead of against it. And the arteries that send the blood out full of oxygen, they're really muscular, they're really strong. But the veins that bring the blood back to the heart and lungs, they're not so strong. They rely on the muscles of the body. They also rely on little valves. So for the return blood flow, the blood comes up a little bit in a vein and then a valve stops it. And then you move about and the blood moves up a little bit more and another valve stops it. And you move about and the blood moves and valve stops it. Well, when these valves fail, we call those varicose veins. These can cause some problems with that stagnant blood and fluid, so you try not to get varicose veins, and you try not to get it by putting your feet up in the air. You can put them straight up in the air like we have Mebby, or you can just put them up on a chair, up on the couch, just to take some pressure off of those valves and give them a chance to reset themselves. We're also dramatically moving lymph fluid out of the turns, corners, and folds of your feet and ankles. The lymph nodes that refresh this vital fluid in the body are in your torso. There's a few behind the knees, but not many. So we've got to get the lymph fluid back to the torso. Now your blood is pumped by your heart, pretty much no matter what position you get in, but your lymph fluid is pumped by you. You're the pump. So all the lymph fluid in this part of the body's got to get back to the torso to get into the lymph nodes, to get into the liver, and the only way to do that is to go upside down, which is why we've created these gentle ways to make that happen. Very healing posture, not only for the fluid systems, the tissue systems, but also for the mental systems, sort of changing your perspective. I don't know if you have the opportunity, but if you can go outside and go upside down and look at your yard upside down, it changes things. All right, so this is Mebby upside down. She can take time to roll through ankles and squeeze and release muscles to legs and stretch and spread and clench toes. She can do a combination of movement and stillness. Now, inhale here and exhale your feet down to the mat. Once your feet get to the mat, press into your feet, lift your hips, and whatever was underneath you, go ahead and slide it out. And now we're going to do a quick twist. So with your hips in the air, shift them to the right, left leg straight, right knee comes in. Pull the right knee, point the left toe, stretching at the pelvic floor. Inhale. Exhale the knee across your body. Put the knee all the way over on the floor on the left to stabilize at the lumbar spine. Reach up with the right arm and then open the right arm to a T and look down it. Just take a moment and soften your body into this shape. Mebby is very flexible. Some of you might not have a knee and a hand on the floor at the same time. Some of you may have an arm that's way up here. This is where my arm was when we started. And eventually, over the years, the weight of those arm bones will bring that arm back down, opening up through this clavipectoral sheath around your chest. Inhale here. And as you exhale, draw your knee into your belly and roll to your back. Feet on the mat and square your hips. Other side. Press into your feet, lift your hips. While they're in the air, shift them to the left. Right leg straight, left knee pulls in. Pull that knee, point the toes. Not only is the bottom of your internal bird cage soft tissue, but the bottom of your pelvis is as well. Figure 8 shape, mesh of muscles, visceral fluid, and so we want to take an angle-to-angle stretch of the pelvic floor, and this reclining twist is a great way to do that. Inhale here. Exhale that knee all the way across. Put the knee onto the floor. If it doesn't go on the floor, you can take the toes and tuck them behind that straight leg if you want, or you can rest the knee on something. You want the shoulder to pop up. Then reach this left arm long, stretch through your left side, and open to a T, and turn your head and look down. What will be for most of you a levitating arm. So if your arm is way up here, that's okay. Like I said, it's the tightness of that clavipectoral sheath that over time, with just consistent practice, you'll bring that arm down. Melting into this shape, allowing these tiny little muscles that look like macaroni pieces on your spine to engage to reset any bones of the back or the hips that might have shifted during practice. Once you have melted into this shape, softening your face, your fingers, and your feet, then find an inhale. And as you exhale, draw your knee into your belly and roll to your back. Feet on the mat and square your hips. So we're going to set up for Shavasana after this. Some of you probably have tender low backs. I know from the students that come into class that there's a lot of tender low backs. One way to help this in your Shavasana is to put something under your knees. So even though Mebby's got a nice, strong, healthy low back, it still feels good to have something supporting the knees. So bring your knees into your belly. If you have an assistant, have your assistant put the blankets underneath where your knees are going to fall. Otherwise, you'll have to do it yourself. Let your legs go long down the mat. You want to make sure your heels are still on the mat, and you want to try to have whatever you feel on the back of one side of your body the same as what you feel on the back of the other side of your body. That way your limbic system doesn't have to bounce between differing sensations. Once you feel squared on your mat, you've supported your knees if you want to. Even if the legs are straight without any support, everybody release your toes, release your feet. Let your feet splay open. Soften through your knees. Let your thighs feel heavy. Allow your belly to soften so that your navel drops towards your spine as you exhale. Release your chest. Imagine that your heart's lifting while your shoulders are lowering, melting your shoulders down your arms until your palms feel like puddles. Swallow, releasing through your throat, letting the skin on your cheeks go slack. Allow your tongue to rest gently in the back of your mouth. Releasing any conversation with yourself, just say shh and let it go. They're just thoughts. And tune in instead to observation of yourself. Observing as you allow your tongue to spread side to side. Soften your face. Bring your gaze inward. Be brave and release the grip of your brain, letting it rest gently in the back of your skull. Let your skull widen and spread on the mat. Find your front body with your mind, and in its entirety, let it melt into your back body. Allow your back body to then melt into the mat, into the floor, into the ground. Coming into your Shavasana, the most important pose in all of yoga. In your time in this Shavasana, you want to continue to release any tension that your mind can find. Whether your toes have tried to grip, whether your hips are gripping, or fingers or belly, just let your mind roam through your body, and when it finds tension, soften it. And sometimes it helps to take your breath to the area and imagine that whatever part of your body is feeling tension, you allow the breath to move through that part of your body, releasing layers of tension that might be recent or long held. You can also take the sensations that you feel best at your fingertips and at your lips, and try with your imagination to move those sensations as deep into your body as you can get them to go, as if you could feel your bones. And then with your imagination, try to draw those sensations back through your bones and through your tissue and through your fluid, bringing those sensations all the way out to the space outside of your skin. Spending the next few long moments feeling and following the various vibrations of you. Remembering when your mind starts to gear back up into conversation with yourself, just say shh. Release the thoughts and escort your mind back to your breath and back to your body. Over and over again, releasing the thoughts and coming back to your inhale, back to your exhale, ever and always back to the breath. All right, and now let's go ahead and deepen your breathing. And then after deepening your breathing, you can wiggle through your fingers and your toes, and then start making circles with your wrists and your ankles, big wide circles one way, and then the other. And then reach your arms up long and stretch your fingers away from your feet. Make space, especially through your belly. With the blankets under the knees, you don't feel the belly as much. So if you want to lift the legs a little and reach the heels away and the fingers away, you can make lots of great space. Take another inhale here, and then exhale, release. Drawing your knees into your belly, roll to your right side. Make a pillow for your head with your right arm. Pause here while your body transitions, and take this moment and thank yourself for your practice, enabling the gifts and the benefits to continue to penetrate to every level, including the deepest level. Thank you. Inhale, and on the exhale, use mostly the strength of your left arm to gently press yourself up, coming into any comfortable seated position that you'd like to be in, on the floor, on the blankets. Just bring your hands back to your heart. Pressing palms, thumbs, and fingers, pulling shoulders, let your heart lift and open, and bow your head into the lifting and opening actions. And take this moment to honor the truth, the light, and the wisdom existing within every cell of your body. May you be peaceful. May you experience poise, equanimity, and abundance. May you be well. Namaste.